Hello, and thank you for watching. My name is Jessica, and I'm the lead moderator of the Facebook group Demand Change and Keep the Receipts. Our goal is to provide information and fact-based arguments that we can use to contact our representatives and demand practical policy change. Our receipts are our sources, and to that end, I've included the sources I used for this video in the last two slides. There's also a link to a copy of the PowerPoint presentation below, which includes image descriptions that should be accessible by reading programs. If you need any other accommodations to fully access this information, please leave a comment or send me a message and I'll do my best to address it. In this video series, we'll be discussing autism. What is it? What doctors think causes it? What the internet doctors are trying to do to, quote, cure it? And harmful treatments that have official approval, and what can you do to help? In the first video, we'll start with the basics. What is autism? Before I begin, I want to add a disclaimer. There's a lot of discussion around autism, and much of it does not include the people who know it best, autistic people. Many books by autistic authors aren't as popular or widely circulated. There are many support groups for parents of autistic children that don't include autistic adults. These things really hinder our understanding and open communication, and if you're curious, I highly recommend the Autistic Self-Advocacy Network as a source of information or following the hashtag #ActuallyAutistic on social media. You may have also noticed that I've been using identity first language, which is to say, an autistic person. Person first language would be a person with autism. While nothing is universal, many autistic people prefer identity-first language, and I'll share ASAN's reasoning. When we say autistic person, we recognize, affirm, and validate an individual's identity as an autistic person. We recognize the value and worth of that individual as an autistic person. That being autistic is not a condition that is absolutely irreconcilable with regarding people as inherently valuable and worth something. We affirm the individual's potential to grow and mature, to overcome the challenges and disability, and live a meaningful life as an autistic. Ultimately, we are accepting that individual as different from non-autistic people, and that's not a tragedy, and we're showing that we are not afraid or ashamed to recognize that difference. If you are a person with autism that prefers person-first language, thank you for your patience. Okay, we're all set now. Let's go right to the meat of it. What is autism? It's classified as a developmental disability, and it's a neurological variation that expresses in a variety of ways. The technical term is autism spectrum because there are core common traits, additional traits that not everyone experiences, and all of it varies in intensities. Here are a few common characteristics. Different sensory experiences, such as heightened sensitivity to light, sound, or physical situations. Non-standard ways of learning and approaching problem solving that result in learning, quote, difficult tasks such as calculus before, quote, simple tasks such as addition. Atypical or repetitive movements, which can include self-stimulatory behavior, less professionally referred to as stimming, such as rocking or flapping when they're excited, positively or negatively, or difficulties with motor skills. Difficulties in understanding or expressing language and or typical social interaction. This is definitely one that varies, as the intensity that an autistic person experiences it can be quite different, as well as how intensely they express it, which isn't necessarily the same thing. For instance, there are a lot of subtleties to humor and the way that language is used. If I say as a joke, that's literally me. An autistic friend may respond, "Jessica, that is a bearded dragon dressed like a wizard. How in the hell is that literally you?" Because of the strictest definition of the word literally. However, someone with experience with either my humor or the common use of the word literally for humor would be able to interpret that to mean that this is a representation of my love of reptiles, magic, and generally being a little offbeat, rather like someone can interpret a second language. It's also important to note that autism expresses itself differently between men and women, boys and girls, and it's suspected that this is a reason why more boys or men are diagnosed. For example, due to socialization differences, girls and women on the spectrum are more likely to mask or camouflage their symptoms. Autistic boys are more likely to self-isolate, whereas girls are more likely to try and stay with other girls. A common symptom is having a topic or interest that an autistic person hyperfocuses on, and boys tend to focus on stereotypically boys' interests, train schedules, baseball scores, and girls tend to focus on stereotypically girls' interests, such as celebrity, information, or language. Many of the tests used to diagnose autism are also specifically created to test for the symptoms as they express in boys. And these experiences can include being verbal or nonverbal, with different levels of accessibility needs. Both ends of the bell curve and everything in the middle are valid and shouldn't be discounted. I hope this has addressed some questions regarding autism and autistic people. In our next video, we'll address what doctors think may cause it and what definitely does not cause it. In the meantime, thank you for joining me. If you have any questions or would like to suggest another topic, please feel free to leave it in the comments or visit our Facebook page, Demand Change and Keep Their Seats. I look forward to hearing from you.